Did you know each of us contributes around 28 kilograms of plastic waste every year? And every year, over 8 million tons of this waste get dumped into the ocean, which is roughly equivalent to one garbage truck full of plastic going into the ocean every single minute or more than 700 billion plastic bottles annually. And much of this plastic doesn't just disappear. It accumulates in areas of the ocean, forming massive zones of marine debris that scientists call garbage patches. There are 5 of these patches spread across the oceans, with the most infamous Great Pacific Garbage Patch, located between Hawaii and California. A garbage patch isn't what most people imagine or as shown in these Google searches. It's not a trash island like Thilafushi and definitely not visible from the space. Instead, it's a swirling vortex of trash made of mostly invisible microplastic particles mixed with larger debris. And while it may not look like much on the surface, its size is staggering. Among the 5 identified patches, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch spans an estimated 1.6 million square kilometers, an area twice the size of Texas. This patch exists in the North Pacific subtropical gyre, a massive system of rotating ocean currents. These currents trap and circulate debris in endless loops, creating what scientists describe as a toxic plastic soup. But how does all this plastic end up here in the first place? For a long time, scientists believed that the Great Pacific Garbage Patch might hold the majority of the plastic polluting our oceans. But when researchers began systematically studying the patch, bringing in large nets, and analyzing what they pulled out, they found something surprising. Plastic lighters, toothbrushes, water bottles, pens, baby bottles, cell phones, some even being over 50 years old. By analyzing these items, researchers calculated the total amount of debris floating on the surface of the ocean. It amounted to a few 100,000 metric tons. But that's only about 1% of the estimated 8 million tons of plastic dumped into the ocean every year. The rest? It sinks, breaks apart, or gets carried away to other parts of the ecosystem, making it far harder to track and clean. And of the floating debris, between 75% and 86% of plastics larger than 5 centimeters come from abandoned, lost, or discarded fishing gear, which eventually break down into something even more insidious: microplastics. Microplastics are plastic fragments less than 5 millimeters in size. They form when larger plastics are broken down by sunlight and ocean currents in a process called photodegradation. These tiny particles are now so pervasive, they outnumber marine organisms in some areas of the ocean. For marine life, the consequences are devastating. Sea turtles mistake plastic bags for jellyfish, birds feed microplastics to their chicks, and ghost nets entangle thousands of animals every year, drowning them in what's known as ghost fishing. But microplastics don't just harm marine ecosystems, they also enter our food chain. They've been found in seafood, drinking water, and even human placenta. These plastics leach toxic chemicals like BPA, and absorb pollutants from the ocean, creating a cocktail of harmful substances that can have severe health effects. So, how do we fix a problem this massive? For decades, companies have sold recycling as the ultimate solution to our plastic problem. But the harsh reality is that only 9% of all plastic ever produced has been successfully recycled. The rest all has ended up everywhere, clogging the ecosystem. Banning plastic isn't a quick fix either. Plastic is so deeply woven into industries, economies, and daily life that an immediate ban would create chaos. It also doesn't address the billions of tons of plastic already choking our oceans and landscapes. So where does that leave us? The reality is that there isn't one solution to this crisis. It requires action on multiple fronts. The cap on plastic production to stop the problem from growing. At the same time, we need to overhaul how we handle the plastic already in circulation. Better waste management systems can prevent plastic from leaking into waterways, while advanced recycling technologies can ensure that materials are repurposed rather than discarded. That's why at EcoCreds, we're creating a blockchain-based platform to help you transparently reduce every single piece of plastic segregated, which often ends up in incinerators. You can see where your plastic goes, how it's processed, and whether it's actually being recycled. And as an added bonus, we reward you for taking part in the solution, so that future generations inherit clean seas, not toxic plastic soups. Follow us on X to know more.